I'd like to go ahead and get started. But before we begin our budget work session this evening, we need to do some regular business. So I'm going to call the regular session portion of the Monroe County Council meeting for Tuesday, September 12th to order. And I'd like to note for the record that Councilor Munson is joining us via Zoom, and all of the other county council members are here in the Nat U Hill room. We need to go ahead and adopt the agenda. So regarding just the regular session agenda, is there anyone who wishes to add or remove an item? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with the agenda as written. And our next item of business is from our correctional center.
Council, I move to approve the jail's request for an additional appropriation in Fund 1000-0380 General Fund Jail in the amount of $480,000 in the services category.
Second.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
So this is an additional appropriation for the medical line.
That's correct.
All right.
So essentially, we're requesting $480,000 in additional appropriation for our medical line. We have a contract with Advanced Correctional Health, which consists of two portions of that payment. The contracted amount for mental health services, medical services, which recently increased from approximately $89,000 to approximately $92,000. But the portion of the monthly expense that that fluctuates would be for pool cap and overages. So essentially, anytime anyone's required to leave the facility to receive treatment, on months that number increases, or we have a larger number of situations that arise, that total monthly cost increases as well. So we're asking for this additional appropriation. As I mentioned, that total monthly cost kind of fluctuates anywhere from approximately $100,000 to $140,000 per month. Recent months, May and June, we have seen that right around that $140,000 figure. So we were hopeful that approximately $120,000 for the remaining 4 months would be sufficient. And we would certainly look to do any transfers necessary after those funds were exhausted. But it's our hope that we would be able to receive those funds.
Okay, are there questions from council? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I was just wondering, is there any kind of underlying issue that you're aware of, or reason for the large number of overages and additional services needed?
Nothing in particular. I think essentially we've taken more of a proactive approach, and rather than maybe potentially waiting or doing analysis in the facility, we've certainly keeping in mind the health of those who we're tasked to take care of. And certainly when those situations arise, we feel as if taking more of a proactive approach and getting them the treatment that's needed is more appropriate. And
so this involves taking them outside of the facility? And
that's
so
correct.
Do they go to IU Health?
That's
or
correct. Just wherever the need might arise. Anytime any treatment outside of the facility or treatment that's unable to be received at the facility level, you're going to receive or incur those costs.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do we know the current balance in this account?
It's less than, it's right, give or take $1,000, but I believe it's a little less than $1,000, around $800, $900 remaining. So there's certainly a need. That contract is, I believe, from July to July, and of course they did increase that. There are other items that are required to be paid from that line. Advanced Correctional Health, of course, is the big one. So,
Councilor Iverson?
Yeah, thank you for being here and talking about this. We have spent a lot of time together, the Sheriff's Department and the council, talking about health and mental health. And I noticed that in the narrative that you provided, that this contract is for both medical and for mental health. And I was wondering if some of the acute medical issues that you were talking about and being more proactive about medical, is that the same for what you're seeing for mental health? And how is that working out in the jail in terms of this contract and this request as it pertains to mental health?
I think some of the issue that we've seen, especially with the intake and care of the offenders as they come in, our evaluations have been, they're more thorough. So for instance, just a few days ago, we had an inmate that was sweating profusely, with his blood pressure had skyrocketed, his heart rate had skyrocketed, and just from our training and experience that we brought in, we thought that he was withdrawing, and the questions we started asking had to do with alcohol, and that is not something that you can try to manage in your facility. You know, that's something that requires immediate medical attention. He actually went to the hospital, and within hours he was cared for and actually released from the jail because of his need to be cared for continually. So yeah, we're sending people out more frequently. I don't want to say we're err on the side of caution, but we're more proactive in trying to find out exactly what's going on with everybody. So yes, we're sending more people out, but we're also being in close contact with the courts and getting these people released so they can get continued care,
of course,
not at the cost of Monroe County.
Yeah. This intersects with so much of what we've been talking about, so I'm not going to ask any more questions about this tonight, but this is really interesting.
Other questions, Councilor McKim?
Yes, and I just wanted to confirm that this kind of additional, or this stepped up basis for the overages and everything is already included in your 2024 budget.
To the best of our abilities, yes. Of course, again, with those fluctuating months, we have budgeted an amount that we feel is sufficient, and we will certainly look to do transfers if and when necessary, but we do feel as if the amount that we budgeted for in 2024 is far more adequate and should meet the needs.
Thank you.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes, this is also for some supplies, as you mentioned to me when we were discussing this. You were talking about gloves, and what were some of the other supplies you were discussing?
Yes, we do pay, as I mentioned, that is not specific to the ACH contract. We do pay for other items, Stericycle, items of that sort, Indiana Oxygen, things of that sort that are outside of just specific items to advanced correctional health care. I don't know if I have the listing that I provided you previously in front of me.
Anything, for instance, when our nurses at ACH, render care to the inmates, whether it's bandages or optometry or whatever it is, we cover that cost as a facility. ACH provides the actual work of the nurse through contract, but we provide all supplies. We recently purchased an AED out of that fund. So we had one on another floor. We're actually looking to get two more, but that's not here tonight. But anything that has to do with the care of an inmate, we cover out of that line as well, other than just the ACH contract.
Thank you.
Councilor Deckard?
I just had a quick question. I don't have the privilege to be on the JPAC committee with some of the other members, so I'm a little late to some of the discussions, but I just have a very simple question. And of course, if you all need to get back with me, you can, but I suspect you can answer this fairly easily. Would you say, if taxpayers were asking us about this, would you say it's fair to say that this could be categorized under sort of the additional care that is being offered under the new sheriff, the new administration, and you all, obviously new jail commander? Would that kind of reflect that in any way?
Without speaking about prior administrations, we are extremely focused on the care of the people that's inside the facility. It goes for our staff, obviously, but the people that we are tasked to take care of, Sheriff Marte has been very clear that those people's concern and best interests should always be first and foremost when it comes to certain things like that, yes.
Sure. I appreciate that very much. And I even appreciate even further the way you just put that. And that's pretty classy. So thank you very much.
Other questions from council? No? All right. If there's any public comment, now is the time if you're online or here in the Nat U Hill room. Go ahead and raise your hand if you're online. Councilor, yes?
I'm sorry, I do. This is actually a question for the auditor's table. Is this additional appropriation included in the current draft 4Bs, or does it need to be added? This one is? Okay.
They submitted it earlier in the year, and we put it inside their budget. Unless they did an additional appropriation in the last 2 weeks, it's in there.
Okay.
Okay, because the total additional appropriations in the 4B is 404,000. So it looks like it's a little bit understated. I don't know what else goes into there.
That was the number we had at the time that was proposed. So
Okay, so it's probably a little understated, but okay, unless there's something else that's in the list. Do you know if there's anything else big that's?
We don't know of anything else at this time.
I thought there was something for 170,000.
Thank you.
Madam
Councilor
President,
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I did research every line, trying to see if there was anything there that could be transferred around. I spoke with Jordan about it as well. There's just not the money to transfer around and continue to cover their expenses. So I think they did what they could do.
Thank you. Would there be a benefit to approving 404,000 so that it makes accounting easier? And the second part of it would be, is that enough?
Well, or just update the
It'd be
line
easier,
6.
just update.
Yeah, I would just
before we-
update line 6.
Okay. Now public comment. Yes.
I want to point out that I've worked here a long time, including my first stint in the auditor's office. And there has been times when the sheriff has not taken a proactive approach and didn't send people to the hospital. And things went bad quickly and we end up in lawsuits. So frankly, I'm very excited that they're careful with the people that we're trusted to take care of and that we do a good job by them. That gives me, makes me feel good inside because I see expense avoidance.
Mm-hmm. Any public comment? Okay, then let's go ahead and have a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Crossley?
yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes?
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
yes,
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
And now we are at item number 4 on the agenda.
Council, I move to approve the auditor's request for deappropriation in Fund 8950-0000, American Rescue Plan ARPA, in the amount of $55,000 in the supplies category and $1,237,023.14 in the capital category, for a total deappropriation of $1,292,023.14.
Second.
Good afternoon, Council. I have a quick correction. So the total to be deappropriated is correct. However, it looks like the supplies and, the services and capital lines were combined. So the deappropriation for the services line is actually $1,191,552. And then for capital, it's $45,471.14. And for a total of the same amount of $1,292,023.14.
So let me ask you to restate that services again.
Sure. In the services category, I'm requesting deappropriation of $1,191,552. $191,552.
$552. Okay.
Instead of the 36 is added together, that's the correct amount.
Gotcha. So let me try this here. Council, I'm going to amend my previous motion to instead say, in services, $1,191,552, and in the capital category, $45,471.14, for a total of $1,292,023.14.
Okay, that I will second.
Great, thank you. And this is just a housekeeping item previously discussed at the joint Commissioner and Council ARPA meeting. So just going through making these deappropriations so then the funds can be obligated.
Are there any questions from council? We have talked about this previously. All right, seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Oh. All right, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. We're now at item number 5. And this is from our own council office, but it's an update from Ms. Shell.
Right. What happened was at the previous council meeting, you guys approved a additional appropriation for the legal department in litigation for $25,000. I inadvertently put the wrong location number, and that's the way you approved it, but the auditor's office caught it as they were sending it to Gateway, and they went ahead and adjusted it to the correct location number so that it would go into the legal department. So this is just an update to let you know that they did receive their funds, and it is deposited correctly into their account. So there's no action needed. This was just an update to let you know that there was a correction made by the auditor's office.
Thank you.
There's no change, form, fit, or function of any of this. It's just reading it into the public record to make sure that you guys know what department was the correct department.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So item B is our update to the job description for our council administrator. And PAC did approve the request for an update to this job description, as well as the next item on this list. So are we voting on these together? We are voting on these together. Is that how you, okay. So I guess a little more explanation is needed, because in addition to updating the council administrator job description, we had asked for a new job description for an assistant council administrator. We went to WIS with the job description. What came back as a Pat A, the council administrator's job description had no change in classification, but is now written in a way that better reflects what she is responsible for. And the new position coming back at Pat A with 40 hours has a salary that just about equals the amount in our budget that we're reducing for this coming year by eliminating our part-time line. So yes, there's FICA and PERF and whatnot to add to that, but I wanted to point out that really what we're doing is switching out a part part-time folks for one full-time person. Are there questions about this? Yes.
I just wanted to make a couple points. Number one, WIS has classified both of these, so this has gone through all the appropriate channels. And as you mentioned, PAC has heard both of these and sent this back with a positive recommendation. Obviously, I'm in favor of both of these. The council administrator position is vitally important as the duties for the council are increasingly complex. And I wanted to point out for the assistant council administrator, the number one duty that's listed on that job description is that it assists the council administrator and assumes all responsibilities in their absence. And we found that this has been very necessary in recent history. And I think this is a really important step to take to make sure that we just don't miss a beat as the responsibilities put on the council are seemingly increasing daily.
Thank you.
Was there a motion read?
There has not been a motion, so why don't we go ahead with that?
Council, I move to approve the amended council administrator job description and the new assistant council administrator job description, and to simultaneously amend the 2023 salary ordinance in Fund 1000-0061 General Fund Council, adding account line 10098, assistant council administrator, Pat A, 40 hours non-exempt.
Second.
Are there other comments or questions from council on this item? Is there any public?
I have asked more than once to get a response from the auditor's office, and perhaps they're not ready to give a response, but I just wanted to make sure that what the auditor might be requesting to provide the services that once was in the council office. And as it's no surprise to anyone, I've not been in favor of doing this. But if the auditor has something further to add, I'd be happy to hear it.
Sure, I'll be happy to address that, Marty. Thank you for asking. So Kate and I have talked about it several times. I've spoken with Molly as well. I am going to retain all of my statutory duties. I'm not going to give any of that stuff away. The only thing that's going to really be affected statutorily is in the short term during the budget hearings. I have a handshake agreement with Kate that the position that's helping me right now before it transfers over, will help me through the budget hearings so that we don't have to put a feeler out and hire somebody during this, very intricate time period. However, we are going to go ahead. Matter of fact, Bree, we've been composing as we go along. We're going to have 3 openings in our department. We're going to have the council assistant that it reports to the auditor. We're going to, Tara Stodgel has announced she is retiring. She's a long-term employee, been a chief deputy, just an excellent employee. She will be leaving. And then we were informed today that a position on the financial side will be leaving. So we're going to have 3 openings in the department. So I appreciate the council staff, even though you guys are moving forward with this position. And I don't want to comment on what you guys hire for your help. That's your guys' business. I think Marty's addressing what we need to do our job. So I want to stick with saying I am not going to relinquish any statutory duties. I've never said I would, and I never will say that I can. They're my legal duties, and I choose to accept them exactly as written in the manuals and in the Indiana Code. If we get to a point where there's question, I know Kate has asked me to do a memorandum of understanding. However, I don't really want to do that. I just want to write a procedure of how we're going to do the budget, because I don't want to put a chokehold on the person coming in behind me that may have their own way of doing things. I'm a long-term employee of this county. There's not a person in this room I don't love and would do anything for. And so I want to know I want you guys to know that I'm going to do this job to the best of my ability with the help that I have. I did not think it was prudent to ask early for a position until you guys had the resources to combine both your part-time positions. It's really a restructure versus a new position. At least that's how I'm viewing it, because mathematically it comes out the same, and I know I'm a math geek, but that's just how it is. However, Marty has been a long time, help of the auditor's office, really going over things, and we've worked 20 years together, and she has helped. So I know her intentions are pure when it comes to helping me and making sure that all my bases are covered. And so I want to assure her and the public that we're not giving up any statutory duties. It's just the way the law is written, and we're going to stick exactly to the letter of the law.
Does that answer your question, Counselor Hawk?
Yes, I just wanted
Okay.
to publicly say
Yeah. Okay.
the plan is.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was okay with everybody. Any other questions from council? Then public comment. Seeing none, we will have a roll call vote on this item, please.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes?
Counselor Hawk,
No?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Thank you. And now we are going to adjourn the regular session portion of this meeting. We're going to move on then to our work session, which is the budget work session for 2024. This is budget session number 3 of 5. So we're getting close to halfway through, and I just want to remind everybody that as we go through the evening, this is not the final approval for the 2024 annual budget for Monroe County, and it's not the formal hearing. The public hearing is scheduled for October 3rd at 5:30, and the final budget adoption will occur on Tuesday, October 17th at 5:30 here in the Nat U Hill Room. And the public can make comment on our budgets during those meetings. So during these sessions this week, departments are invited to present their budget. And as a reminder, we've allotted an amount of time for each department that is based on the time that was taken last year during budgets. However, if we need to extend that time to discuss issues, council has the ability to do so. We'll just try to be mindful to keep the discussion focused on budget topics. And if we go too far astray, we may have an agenda item put on a future meeting to continue our discussions. So during each department's budget review, we will probably be asking for explanations on increases, decreases, or additions to your budget. And council members will be given the opportunity to ask questions. And then we can make some recommendations to increase or decrease account lines based on that discussion. Or if the department has requests or needs that need to be addressed. Council will vote on moving forward with the department's reviewed budget request. And again, it's not the final approval, but it's a recognition of the request as presented or amended by the council. So, with that said, let's start with an overview based on what we've been doing the past couple of sessions. Are there any updates to the budget numbers based on changes we have made last Thursday?
Yes, council, I'd like to share my screen. At last Thursday's meeting, there was some changes made with regards to the general fund. There were reductions of approximately 11,000 in the general fund, and there was also a reduction in the aviation of 123,000. There was no other changes with regards to that. So our ending budget requests currently stands at $47,433,009 for the general fund. The aviation was then updated for a fund total of, for budget requests of $1,514,886. So that was the changes made from Thursday.
Thank you. Do any counselors have anything to add or questions? Counselor Deckard.
I just wanted to briefly mention, again, Ms. Shell referenced the airport and some of the funds that they came down with on their request in working with us last week. And I just want to commend that because we are obviously working very hard to get to a goal. And the goal is to give a COLA to our the hardworking county employees as much as possible. And I appreciate very much all the departments and elected officials that are coming in to help us with that. And particularly last week, the airport director who very gracefully sat through that and helped us with that. And that's not easy for his priorities, but I'm glad he did it. And so I wanted to say that here. I said that to him personally, but I think it's important that we say these things publicly. This is a partnership between our elected officials, our department heads, and us to get to a goal that we have heard from our folks they want to see us reach. So, and that's all I have to say about all that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding the changes that we have made thus far? And I'm not on Zoom, so I'm trusting that people will let me know about Counselor Munson if I miss her participation, especially while the screen is being shared. It makes it challenging, to say the least. So if we have no more questions, let's go ahead and invite Sheriff Ruben Marte and Jail Commander Gibbons to join us. Sir.
I'm trying to read the motion.
No, sorry. Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1003AO General Fund Jail with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $6,048,981. In the supplies category, $184,311. In the services category, $2,088,500, for a total of $8,321,792.
Second.
Thank you. All right, welcome. We get microphones all set up so we can hear you.
Good evening, Council. Thank you all for allowing me to bring the team with me up here and answer your questions. Before we get there, I'd like to say it's good to see all of you. I think it's been a long time I've been in the same room with all of you. It's been quite a journey until this point. So let me start with that. And I'll try to keep it short as possible before we get to the questions. Before I took office, I spoke to a lot of people about different things that concern the jail. When I took office, I talked to a lot of people, to include some of the members here personally, one-on-one and as a group. Talked to the community as much as well. In fact, I talked to people that spend time in our facility to get their opinion as well, what we could do to improve. Once we got in there and laid eyes and took inventory, we tried to expedite what we could do at the given time. What brought us to this point now, 8 months later, and what you're about to see in the budget are certain things that were needed fairly quickly, just to be humane, to be quite frank, just the treatment of people. And we are at this point that we are doing better, but we still have a long journey. As you know, I'm at the point now where we're talking about a new jail, so that's a new scope of things that we have to look ahead and prepare now to try to make an easier and smoother transition. So that being said, I think you're going to see some of the difference and some increases, to be frank, in the budget based on what we had to do that was not being done before in the past, so is new. One of the things that I heard from some of the council and commissioners that if you need, not if you want, but if you need, come and ask. So I'm asking. We're trying to change the culture in there, and you already spoke about some of the mental health issues that we have and how we're trying to be proactive. So I welcome the encouragement in that arena. The other thing is training for our folks to try to be very proactive. Things have changed throughout the years, and to be fair to the staff, I want to hold them to the highest level, but to do that, we have to train them at the highest level as well and keep them there. So we're working on that right now. It takes time, but it takes training, and it does take funding. The transition team is going to be something that's new to all of us, so I just want to bring that up again. But I think we could get to the other side fairly reasonable and being cost effective, and we will work with you on that arena as well. That being said, we'll be prepared to answer your questions. I think we all are here to do that.
Thank you. I'm going to start with questions on the general fund for the jail, and we'll start to my left. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll get us started tonight. In this fund, it is about a 24% increase, and I think the largest part of that is in that a lot of those personnel lines that we invested in, because last year you all came to us and said, we've got to retain and attract a workforce to keep our community safe. So my first question to you is, how's that going? How are we doing on retaining our staff? How are we doing on attracting staff, particularly in this line?
So right away, we came in and implemented training. I mean, that was first and foremost when you're trying to change the culture. We were trying to build the jail specifically in what the sheriff is trying to do. Part of that is working to not only train employees, but keep them positive, get them excited, invigorated about doing this kind of work, because it's not easy. It's something that we have to work at literally every day to maintain that status quo. So I think that the best way to explain it is we've hired 16 on since we came in January 1. We've lost 8, I believe. 4 of those were to police agencies. So anytime that you've got staff that you can train up that are capable of stepping up at that next level, you've done a good job in training. Some of those people got that training before we got here. But part of, I would say the biggest change in what you were talking about in retaining employees is you can ask any employee, you can ask any person that's an inmate at the facility, it's better. It's easier to do their time. It's safer, it's cleaner. That goes for the inmates and goes for the staff as well. We've got, with the sheriff coming in, I hear on a daily basis from our staff, hey, we are excited to be here. We're excited to be a part of this. And I mean, we've spoke about it multiple times already. We're excited to be there with them. It feels good to be part of a positive change and part of a positive movement and be a part of people who care about the community and care about each other. And that started day one. We started building that.
And Commander, how many vacancies in staff do you have right now?
Right now, we have one. However, because we've had to utilize some other positions, we were looking to change some of those funds around. So once we get that figured back out, because of the overtime usage, because of the 15% increase in salary prior to this year, it's just something we're managing in-house. But officially, we have one.
I am by no means the most seasoned person sitting up here, but it's been a long time, I think, since I've heard only one vacancy in the jail.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell from staff that they're not being just worked to the bone. They're getting some time off. We're able to approve requests for vacation time. With coming out of the COVID time, people are excited about stepping up a little bit more to help the team because it is a positive change.
Okay. I'll not ask any more questions right now.
All right. Any other questions from down this way? Councilor Crossley.
I'll just keep it brief. It's not so much more of a question, it's a comment. As one of the liaisons to the sheriff's/jail office, I just appreciate all of y'all coming in and doing what you've done in a short amount of time. And the times that I have been able to go and visit, you can tell from last year to this year the change that's happening. You can also tell with the staff that's been walking around. I had a chance to walk over quick on this past Friday and talk to the sheriff and chief deputy as well. And it was just refreshing to see just a different way of doing things. So I appreciate all the things that you've done to your staff as well. And I know that you will try to continue to do your best. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions to my right. Councilor McKim.
I guess this is not so much question, but kind of some technical corrections based on stuff that I've heard from counselors, from Mr. Miller, from Michelle, et cetera. So let's see, council, I move we set the following lines to 0. 30025 maintenance, 30028 training travel, 31380 inmate housing offsite, 34110 maintenance video imaging, 34150 uniforms, 34170 legal services, 34300 communications repair services, 34400 booking printing sign, 34800 inmate library services, all because those are also budgeted in the misdemeanor fund, and that we add set line 30006 contractual to $20,000, that we set line 40001 equipment to $15,000, and I make sure I understand this right, 20700 maintenance repair supplies to $70,300.
Second.
Are there questions about those changes?
I did round your equipment down to 15,000, but I know the purpose was to have just a line there. You don't have a specific equipment need there. That's to have a line there. I hope that's okay. But everything else, I think, is the exact numbers that you gave me.
Thank you. That's my apologies.
Yeah, no, that's great. Councilor Hawk?
Right. Hopefully you'll send that to us. I can't write and keep, or have you already put it online someplace?
No, I haven't. I kind of pulled it together from an email. Sent to the
Okay.
council office.
I just wanted to say a big thank you, because when I reviewed this and I wasn't seeing anything like equipment, and in speaking with the sheriff, I had inquired, will you not need a line there for equipment? I don't want them ever to have to be delaying to get something they need. And so I'm glad that that's been worked out. So I thank you. I was really sort of surprised when I didn't see anything on there when I was going over your budgets. So I have other questions, but we're going to work on that one first.
Yeah.
May I ask a clarifying question, please?
Of course.
Line 3006, you want it set at 20,000?
Yes, because it's 0 now.
Oh, 30006. And then 40001, you want it set to 15,000.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And then you got the supplies, the maintenance supplies one too. And
Yes, the maintenance supplies is 2,700 to 70,300.
it looks like it's 0 right now
It was 0. I don't see where you
to 70,300.
So you're wanting, you want it to have 70,000.
70,300.
Thank you.
I have a question about the motion.
Go right ahead.
Right. And you're moving all of it to the misdemeanor fund?
Well, it's budgeted in the misdemeanor.
In both?
Yeah.
In both. And what's the balance in the misdemeanor fund? Because we all know we can have an appropriation, and that's fine, but we also have to have the money. And the money doesn't come in until August or September, but I understand that balance is pretty high.
It's in the 4Bs that the auditor sent out. I had it up. I had to reboot my
Right.
computer.
Yeah, I would just want to caution people that you need to keep an eye, and I spoke with Jordan about this earlier, keep an eye on not just what your appropriations are, but also what the balance is as you are spending it down. Because in the general fund, there's always going to, hopefully has been for decades, a larger amount of that fund balance to be able to go to. But that's not, as far as having cash, but that's not necessarily the case with the misdemeanor fund.
Thank you.
On the 4B, the June 30th cash balance was 132,000.
132,000.
So the operating balance with the budget as presented is still 50%.
And it still has yet to receive revenue this year. Is that correct?
Well, it looks like they're still projecting, let's see.
Have they received their fall allotment from?
Projection 141.
that comes
Counselors,
in?
the auditor's office just looked it up. The cash balance as of today is 200,432.
Oh, so they must have gotten
Okay, so you did get your allotment then.
Okay, so 200,000. All right. Other questions about the musical chairs that just occurred in that amendment? Because it was a lot. Yes.
Only that I appreciate the communication. It was so nice to have that in writing beforehand and just made sense of all that. Having
It really
a
does.
big motion like that, it's just so nice to have it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really do apologize for that oversight that was made, and I'll get better as the years progress.
No,
Absolutely, no worries. Communication is key. Counselor Munson, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted a chance to comment before this was concluded. I'm very sorry that I haven't been able to participate in person or as directly as I usually do. And I want to thank the sheriff's staff, especially Mr. Jordan, for working with the council and getting these last-minute changes straightened out. I wanted this opportunity to bring to Commander Gibbons and Sheriff Marte, either one, to talk about what they are envisioning with the additional staff that they are planning for the transition team. And this is very important. I ask this not to tell the council, but to tell the public what their vision is for this.
Can we vote on the motion on the floor first before we move on to
Sure.
another topic? Is that?
Yep. If there aren't any specific comments or questions about the motion, we'll go ahead with a roll call vote.
This is a roll call vote for the amendments presented earlier. Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes,
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Okay. So we've got the amended information. It's not reflected here yet. No worries. Are there other comments or questions then on the general fund?
I have another one on the general fund, and that's, let's talk about the medical contract, and in particular, one suggestion was that we could move some of the medical contract into the new corrections lit that we just, created. We're gonna have to move something, and it's maybe easier to, so I guess my first question is, are we even during this session going to be able to budget for the corrections lit fund during the budget session, or is that something we're going to have to do as an additional appropriation in January?
have we established the fund yet? We have to establish the fund.
Yes, we can't budget for that now.
So when are we going to do that? In January?
Yes, it'll have to be like, I guess, additionals at that point.
Okay, so I guess my question is, how do we want to handle the medical contract? Do we just want to reduce it by $400,000 with the idea that we're going to then come back in January to add? Because I mean, this is the contract won't all be paid out, but it wouldn't be able to be paid out before January anyway, because this is a January budget or a 2024 budget. So we could actually reduce it by $400,000 with the idea that as soon as we get that corrections lit fund established, we put that $400,000 back in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes perfect sense.
Ask,
Turn your mic on.
yeah, ask the auditor.
I guess, has the local budget notice already gone out? Because if it has not, I don't know why we can't just establish a fund. We've already voted on that. Put a line in it and rather than doing an additional. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a reason. I'd like to hear what it is.
My understanding is proper procedure would be to budget, do additionals in January because there's no cash coming in until then. I guess we could after October, I suppose.
No, I mean, we know there's no cash there until it starts coming in January. But that does not mean you can't go ahead and establish a fund and establish a budget, just like we do with everything, and assume that that money's coming in just like the rest of our budget. But whatever, I wanted to make it as simple, I guess, than nothing simple. Whatever.
Councilor Iverson.
Counselor Iverson, do you have?
Yeah, my question was actually for my colleague, Councilmember McKim. You had mentioned a $400,000 number for this line. How did you, why $400,000?
Well, I think we had estimated that the new tax would bring in about 425, so it could be 425.
Okay, all right, yeah. You were looking for a nice round number that was
Yeah.
within that ballpark.
And the
Just
reason
one
why I
more.
have some concern is because generally speaking, we have to wait for the DLGF to allow us to move forward with any kind of an additional appropriation at the beginning of the year. Whereas if we already have it in place, we're done. But
I'm still waiting for confirmation from the DLGF that like everything's aligned and we're good to move forward. I've followed up a couple times. We still haven't gotten that confirmation. So it's out of my comfort zone to move forward prior to getting that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So we could maybe do it before January, but not before we hear back from DLGF on it, which makes perfect sense.
We might even be able to do it before we actually approve the final budget in October. She might get information at that time. So we can still make, adjustments before the October 17th final approval.
This contract, I think you mentioned, was a July to June. So
So we've got time.
we've got plenty of time. So
Don't have
that-
to today.
We don't have to do it today. But to your point, I think it would be helpful for us to remove
Yeah.
the 400,000 with a big asterisk.
Yeah, council, I move we set line 34100, medical services, to 1,576,000 with the idea that we will fund that remaining 400,000 as soon as the correctional lid is approved.
second.
Any questions or comments on that motion? In that case, let's have a roll call vote on the reduction of the contractual line.
On the second amendment to reduce line 34100 to 1,576,000, Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes,
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Great. Yes, Counselor Iverson.
I want to stay on the medical services line for just a second, and I want to zoom out a little bit. We got into the weeds a little bit there, and I see on the budget that you're adding 3 positions here. My hunch is that it comes from Sheriff Marte, your 7-point plan. Can you tell the public what 3 positions out of your 7-point plan this would be, and then how? I guess I'll just keep it there.
The first one has to do with providing an extra mental health professional to assist us with that ingrowing area when people come into the facility. The other one that we noticed that we have a large number of people that need assistance is in the substance abuse area, so we'd like to have a counselor for that area. And then the other one is a reentry case management manager, just to help out and just concentrate on that particular arena only, as opposed to one person trying to do all 3 and you can't. So those are the main 3 positions for us that, as we sat down as a group and we decided, okay, how can we be very cost effective and start thinking in the future, try to be proactive. And these are the main 3 ones that we feel comfortable coming to the council with.
Thank you.
Are there other questions on the general fund?
I've
Yes, go ahead.
just in general, when I was going through each line by line, and the little comment there has to do with a 15% change. But then when I looked at the numbers, it doesn't appear to be 15% change in each line. And so is that want to address that?
That was a me thing that I put on there so that you knew, going from the 2023 approved to what they were doing, there was that 15% that you guys increased. That's not in addition to what they did. This was just so that you knew why it went from 49,000 to a 62,000. It was just to refresh your memories. That's why it was highlighted in green. It was just a refreshment of your memories of the percentage that you guys approved back in the end of last year.
I thought you might like to add, Jordan, that what we discussed having to do with the percent change per year. I'm trying to remember what you told me. It's been a while. Which is different from perhaps the rest of county. It's like there's.
I believe you're speaking of the
Is your
years of
mic on?
service. You might be referencing the years of
Yes.
service. There was an adjustment in addition to those increases that took place. That maxes out at 20 years of service, and for each year of service one has, they receive an additional 48 cents. So I was just going to state that the amounts aren't 15%, of course, as well, because the previously budgeted amounts were prior to that 15%, and then you add those additional 48 cents to everyone who's not maxed out at the 20 years of service.
Okay. I had a couple of questions / comments, specifically about the misdemeanor fund. Are there things in the general currently that are appropriate from perhaps moving into the misdemeanor fund as we're looking to pull things over? You said that it still has a pretty high balance.
Yes, although I wouldn't say that it's, at least from the 4B, that it's particularly growing if they spent all the appropriations, which they may not.
Okay.
But I mean, they, Jordan may have some thoughts on that.
Could you be more specific about your question? I don't want to miss the statement.
So I'm just looking at some of the line items. I have to admit that with all the rearranging,
Sure.
I'm like, I got notes and then I've got like what just happened and it's not matching. So I'm a little fuzzy on stuff, but I'm wondering if there are some things that are currently in your general fund budget that we could move over to misdemeanor in order to, because our eyes are on that general fund,
Sure.
And just trying to kind of chip away.
I mean, I certainly think we do have, I'm sure you have seen our budgets. We do have lines such as contractual lines and maintenance lines that you'll see in both. We would certainly be willing to consolidate down to one budget. We could gladly move our county general contractual or maintenance line over to the misdemeanor fund if that might free up some funds or assist with the process. As you can see, we're not asking for a great amount of additional funding, just simply $4,000 to cover an $8,000 contract that's been set at $4,000 for reasons unbeknownst to myself.
All right. Are you seeing opportunity? Does anyone else?
Well, I mean, as you know, I had mentioned, it was just a thought that we would look to see if anything could be moved over into ARPA. I think we could move some of that contract over to that. I know nobody else wanted to do it, but I'm just suggesting. If we move part of the contract over into ARPA, then we could move other expenses of the jail over into that $400,000. I mean, it's just a suggestion.
I think it's a great suggestion. I mean, we also have training and travel. We have a training line over there as well. So there are certainly numerous accounts that we could look to maneuver around if that was deemed appropriate or necessary.
Well, training and travel now is already in, that's already in misdemeanor. I guess the one thing we could move is that contractual, that we just move.
Well, we have a training and travel in county general, and we also have a training and travel in misdemeanor.
Well, we just zeroed out the training travel in general.
That was one of the things on his list. No, trust me, I'm with you.
I was also looking at training supplies, so we do, yeah, but you're correct.
Go ahead.
I want, this may not be a helpful comment, but I wonder if once we sort of get some of the dust settled on some of these changes, if we had an amount for the misdemeanor fund that we would love to see an amount come from general in that kind of rough amount. If lines, once Jordan and the sheriff have had an opportunity and the commander to kind of figure out, here's what we could do, not do, and the dust is settled, maybe they could come back with an amount that could switch over to misdemeanor. So they'd be comfortable and we'd know. But I
mean,
I see 75,000 with just those three lines that were mentioned,
yeah.
of the 141,300 that we're requesting. So,
What 3 lines?
Wait,
well, I see like I said, if we were discussing moving those back after all the dust settled from us moving those or establishing that they should be in misdemeanor, if we believe that they could fit better or were better in the county general, we're talking contractual 15, training travel 15, and maintenance 45 for a total of 75,000.
but we're wanting to move more stuff to misdemeanor, not no.
Yeah, sorry.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I probably didn't help that.
Well, then, like, we can certainly take a look at the county general, similar lines, like I said, 20,000 contractual.
That's almost all that's left.
Yeah.
But we could do that. Well, the problem is then that would leave you
There's
no
70 sorry.
no lines in the services, and I think they need at least one active line in the services. Just
Yeah.
Yes, at least something, even if you put $10 in there.
Can it have a lower amount in services perhaps?
well, I mean, we certainly could. What about moving 10 of the 20 contractual from general into misdemeanor? Okay, council, I move we set line 30006 contractual to $10,000 with the idea that we'll move it to misdemeanor.
Second.
Are there questions or comments on that motion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes,
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes,
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
So if I have questions about things that now are not in the county general, I'll wait until we talk about misdemeanor. Is that?
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
do PS lit and then
Okay.
misdemeanor. Yeah.
Sorry.
And we'll have to add this back in.
Cheryl, I didn't want to miss your comment. Did you have more to say and talk about?
I thought it was important for the public to hear from Sheriff Marte and Commander Gibbons about the transition team that they are proposing to cover with this budget. And this is in addition to what we usually budget for, and I think it's an important component of what will take place.
Okay.
And the public knows very little about it. So this was just an opportunity for some brief information to be put forward.
Do you have, where is the transition team budgeted? Is it?
We had intentions of including that in this budget, but we received guidance from members of council that we needed to kind of follow the proper procedures first. So that's not.
That makes
included
sense.
in this budget.
Okay, all right, so we don't have any transition team hires at all in this?
Okay.
Great, okay. That
All right,
simplifies
thank
things
you.
quite a bit. I'm sorry, go right ahead.
wait, this is really confusing. In the contract for your mental health and medical, are any of those part of the transition team? No, yes, no. So in addition to this large increase in the medical contract, we are anticipating another request for a transitional team of who knows how much. I mean, I'm sure you folks know. I haven't heard a number. Okay, just wanted to. I just kept thinking that those folks were part of the transition team. Nope.
No.
Actually, I thought that's what Peter was saying too.
Well,
I thought so too.
My understanding is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we're going to hear more about our transition team in October's PAC meeting.
That is correct, yes.
The 7-point plan isn't the same as the transition team, right?
No.
I'm sorry?
The 7-point plan is different from the transition team
That is
proposal.
absolutely
Yeah, we
correct.
have not heard the transition team proposal.
At all.
There's not been anything,
No.
not taken any steps for approving it,
That's right.
funding it, et cetera.
Correct.
That's it.
Yes.
But we are funding three positions that were in your 7-point plan, Sheriff.
There
Maybe.
was
Well,
There was an
I'm-
interesting PowerPoint last night at JFAC. You do have to fast forward through my lengthy presentation to get to it, but there was an interesting presentation on the transition team.
okay. I will watch it. I didn't get to watch it last night.
All right.
I watched it last night, so
Oh,
riveting.
Lord.
Are there other questions from my colleagues on general fund? All right. Is there any public comment on the general fund jail?
Wait, public comment?
Oh, do we not do that? I guess
It's not
not.
our budget. We haven't done any of that in our budget
I'm
work
just
session.
on a roll,
Because we've had
though.
2 different kinds of meetings.
My apologies, the public may not comment. I don't know what I'm doing up here.
Doing great.
There are no questions from council. Then could I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the general fund jail 2024 budget request?
This is regarding the final motion with the 3 amendments that were made.
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review. Fund 11700380, Public Safety Lit Jail, with the category requests of, in personnel, $604,913. In the services category, $430,000, for a total of $1,034,913.
Second.
Okay, and what do we have in this budget that we can discuss? Do you have anything fun to tell me about?
I mean, to me, the pay lines are very straightforward and fall in line with some of the comments that have been previously made, accounting for 15% additional appropriations, things of that sort. I think the one line that really stands out is our request for 40,000 additional in the Meals for Prisoners line. As you can imagine and clearly see here, in at least the last 3 years, and possibly more, we've budgeted the same $390,000 for meals. And as you are well aware, inflation is real. And we kind of looked at how much funds we had remaining in the year based on need and determined that that was what we would consider appropriate amount to account for inflation.
All right. Are there questions or comments? Peter Iverson.
You haven't changed your vendor for meals, have you? Or vendors, excuse me.
Yeah, we have multiple vendors. Our kitchen facilities manager goes out and specifically looks for the best deal she can, literally every day. So whoever's lowest is getting our business. There's no contract. It's just what's available.
Gotcha, thanks.
Councilor Deckard.
One comment I'll make, it's probably not even necessary because I've talked with the manager, and I know how thrifty she is about getting things. But if food costs and some of this increase would change and lower, you know, it'd be wonderful if it did. But if that cost would lower, that's obviously an area where you can do some savings towards the total budget. But again, I don't have to say that really very much because I know how thrifty she is with all that.
Yeah, she recently got a large order of French bread at a very low cost and made French bread pizza for the entire facility and saved us a lot of money in one meal. So
That's really great. Other questions on the PS Lit budget? Okay. In that case, could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the jail's public safety lit fund?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk, Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11750000 misdemeanor with a category request of, in the services category, $141,300 for a total of $141,300. And my question would be, do I need to adjust this now? We've done so much work.
No, I'll make a motion to, there's only one thing we need to add to
Okay.
this.
I'll let my motion set.
Second.
Okay. What is in the misdemeanor? What isn't in?
Well, this was already double budgeted with the items for maintenance, training, travel, inmate education, inmate offsite housing, video imaging, uniforms for part-time, legal services, communications repair services, booking, printing, signs, and inmate library services. Those were already those are already double budgeted here, so we haven't changed any of these yet. But I do want to make a motion to increase contractual from $15,000 to $25,000.
Second.
Any questions about that change?
The increase was $10,000.
Gotcha.
It was what we removed from general.
If there are no questions, we'll have a roll call vote when Ms. Shell is ready.
Okay. Sorry. Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
and Counselor Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Other comments or questions about the misdemeanor budget? Okay, I have a question. You have a line for legal services. What exactly is that for?
I believe my wonderful coworker, Mr. McLaughlin, would be able to answer that a little bit better, but I understood that that was $5,000 given to cover certain situations that arise that require legal services or legal needs. I mean,
Outside of your county legal, is that? Do you?
That's something that the council put in a few years ago when we had a lawsuit that come into play and we had to pay out. So they funded us and the jail at that time, $5,000 each year just to keep in there. It's not to be used until the end of the year if necessary.
Huh. Interesting. So have you ever used it?
Just once.
Just the one time that prompted the creation? Interesting. Okay. Okay, my next question. I have seen recent email communication regarding a need in our current facility for new video surveillance equipment. And that line for maintenance for video imaging, is that related to that system?
Yes.
So my thought is, where are you in your maintenance costs this year? And are we anticipating using a lot less because we're planning to replace the whole system? Or what are your thoughts?
Greg Crone at TSD advised us that our system is well out of date. SAS also communicated with us and advised the same thing. What we are doing now throughout each year, in the past few years at least, and I don't want to speak for Greg Crone, but he specifically said that some of the stuff that we're purchasing, it's not cost effective to maintain that status quo throughout the next few years. Our system in of itself was installed 10 years ago. The hardware and the programming software is not compatible with operating systems now in 2023. From what I understand, this fund here goes towards that maintenance. But also, for instance, if an inmate jumps up and smashes the camera, it's happened before. Sometimes in the old building, we've experienced already, it's hard to rerun wiring when wiring goes out. So that's, we just recently we got appropriation through the commissioners to use some commissary funds for that because we needed it immediately fixed. So some of that is, I can't venture to guess what the new operating system will look like in terms of maintenance, but you will have ongoing costs in a living facility.
Yeah, okay. Are there other questions on the? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One of the things I was going to point out is that we're changing the operating system. We're going to update that, but the cameras themselves continue to fail and are outdated, and that's not included in this update. So we anticipate that a lot of those cameras are going to be in need of replacement or repair, and I don't even know if you can repair them. They're so outdated. So, we're kind of trying to do this in steps. We're doing the operating system. We'll move to cameras, and we're adding some additional cameras on this phase too. So I don't know if that helps answer your question or not, but it's a real thing that entire system is outdated. The cameras, operating system, all of it. Wiring, all of it.
Wow. Comments, questions?
I guess the other thing Mr. Crone told me when I had asked him about this was that even things that like wiring and maintenance of the video system that in a normal office environment would cost a certain amount of money simply cost more because they're in a jail and you have to deal with the constraints on the wiring, and it's just an environment where everything costs a lot more. I tried to pin him down on exact costs for everything. He was not willing to give that.
And that really concerns me though, because if that goes down and we lose that capability of making sure our staff and the residents there are safe, that's a safety life issue for us. And that worries me because in any given time, that could happen. And I really like to put that to rest because that's a liability, to be honest with you. That is real right now.
Councilor Iverson and then Councilor Deckard.
The other part of this that makes me think about this is as we're thinking about going into the functional program, the space program to design a new facility, this is very instructive of how we are designing, the new facility so that we have access to wiring, we have access to systems so that you all can get in there and fix these like that, and we don't have to go through this of like, we can't get to this or we can't access that. So as much as we're here to help and fix this right now, it is also instructive for the future.
Councilor Deckard.
If we're watching video from within the jail, other than a body cam, this is literally what we'd be watching, right? Okay. And do you have any idea how old the current system is? Have you heard a ballpark year or anything? I'm just trying to get in my head how long new systems will be in new facilities.
Well, there are multiple facets to the system itself. Our operating software is over 10 years old. Some of the cameras that were purchased prior to our arrival were bought in bulk because they were at a discounted rate and they weren't the cameras that typically work with our software. It's something that's been cobbled together through the years to keep moving forward.
So thank you very much.
All right. Other questions on this fund? Okay, seeing none, then could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the jail's misdemeanor fund budget?
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Go right ahead.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1,000,005, General Fund Sheriff, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $5,706,045. In the supplies category, $289,701. In the services category, $207,620, for a total of $6,203,366.
Second.
Welcome again. Kind of new. Okay. We have the other half of the house to talk about now. All right. Are there any specific changes that you wanted to highlight for us, Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah, we have just a few. In the uniform line, that figure is based on their contract that they're negotiating at this time, so that's what we put in. Plus the additional in the 3,500 where we outfit an officer when they're first hired and they don't receive a uniform check until the following year.
Scott, I'm sorry, I can't hear anything. You're going to have to pull that closer.
Is that better?
Yes.
Sorry. So the contract for the uniforms is something that's being discussed right now to raise it from $1,600 to $2,000 per officer, with the $3,500 being an initial startup that we pay for an officer to outfit them, and they don't receive that uniform check until the following year.
Okay.
Normal things, you know, with salary-wise is all based because of the same as the jail. The 15% went in at the last, and then they're just time salary increases. There was one on the specialty units. It was my bad. It said 500. It should have said 1,000 for the increase. I put 500, but yet the total shows it's 1,000.
Yes. Yeah, I see that.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed it. Where? Which
A
line?
specialty unit?
17207.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you.
And the one item that's going to take the biggest jump in this is the sheriff's pension, said to us by One American McCready and King. It went from $851,020 to $1,004,528.
Woo.
Which
Big
one?
jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sheriff pension, 18004.
I think we've already discussed how much that went up a few weeks ago.
We don't really have any control over it. I mean,
No.
that's what the actuary said.
Ms. Turner King.
I did want to remind council that we are currently negotiating with the collective bargaining unit regarding specialty pay that the officers receive. And in the past, that pay was provided in a lump sum amount. But this year, those specialty pays for things like CERT, dive, shift differential are all going to go to an hourly rate. So you might want to keep that in mind when we're looking at this budget. I've been working with the Sheriff's Department to try to get an idea of the fiscal impact that that's going to have. To give you an idea, we just haven't got it done yet.
A lot of stuff we can't really control. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Yes. Counselor Iverson.
I think he just, I'm sorry, how do you finish with the increases? Because
As far as salary wise.
just salaries, okay. Because there's a pretty big one in communications. But
Okay, okay.
with salaries, then we're good.
Go right ahead. Continue.
Okay. In the services area, maintenance, we've increased that by 2,000. And training and travel was 1,000. It says 500. That's the other correction. It should be 1,000. In the general communications, we've got several contract things that's gone up, some that stayed the same for several years. A lot of them, and working with Greg and TSD, are being moved to the cloud, which raised it a lot. Things that weren't in there that we have this year that we have to have for a contract starting next year, that's increased. The good news is I had one company contact us and said because we've been a vendor with them for several years, they've decided not to raise theirs, so that line can be dropped by 9,000.
Excellent.
Like 9,000?
What?
Yay. Happy dance.
Yeah. And then the fund number 31590 dictaphone was always 10. It raised to 12. They also agreed to stay at 10. So a 2,000 can come out of that.
Council, I move we set line 31540, general communication services, to 89,600. And, or just, is that right, 89.6 or just 89?
89.6.
89,600. And line 31590, dictaphone, reduced from 12,000 to 10,000.
Any questions about that little bit of brightness? Okay. Could we have a roll call vote on those changes, please?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Are those all the increases?
That's it on that one.
I'm sorry.
That's it for that one.
Okay. Did you have a question then or comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is now the right time for that?
Please go ahead.
All right. I'm going to ask the same question of you all that I asked for the jail budget, because there's so many personnel lines here. How's attracting, talent? How is retaining talent? How is it going? We worked pretty hard with you all to bump things up, and just wanted to hear how it's going.
Well, not quite as good as what we had in the jail, to be honest with you. The police recruiting thing is a completely different approach, because there are so many different agencies around that are vying for those same qualified individuals. I will say that the last process we had 11 what I call really good applicants, and we still have 6 of those remaining in the selection process, and I think 4 of those would be laterals that are already academy trained. So we had a rough spot there, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I think that what the council did for us in terms of that pay is starting to show some dividends here with the recruiting success that we had here, to fill the vacancies that we have, which we have 5 right now. So I see us trending in the right direction. It's just taken a while to catch up, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, there's a long tail to
Yes.
get the word out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difficult process, because it takes so much longer to to run a process for a merit deputy. There's so many different steps involved than it is for a corrections officer. So we've done everything we can to condense that so that we shrink that time that it takes, because the quicker you hire, the better your success rate is.
Sure. So the state police, as you know, had a major pay raise. So I'm thinking down the road, I mean, what the chief said is spot on, but I still in the back of my head thinking, well, you know, after we train them, and I can't fault the person to better themselves as far as taking care of their family with a pay raise, you know. So I say that to say that that's still out there. You know, we're doing the best that we can, but that is a fact.
Yeah.
You know, so because we have lost people to other agencies that are paying more than us. So.
Yeah, when it comes to those personnel lines, we never can rest. There's always inflation. There's always the next county over. There's always the state. We can never rest.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've lost 3 in the last about 6 months. Yeah, so you know, it's a real thing. You're exactly right. You have to keep your eye on that ball all the time.
And our county population has grown. So we're not even at a point that we could say that, you know, we're actually fully staffed to truly do what we should be doing. Because in Lake Monroe, I mean, we responded there 3 times recently.
I'm sorry?
In Lake Monroe, we're the first to respond out there.
Yeah, the dive team was the first response on 2 of those incidents out there. And actually did the recovery on those.
It was twice, I believe. Mm-hmm. That's a person off the road right now, but we have to do that. So we're not at the size that I believe we should be to truly provide the service that we know we can provide. So I want to put that out there as well, that as we talk about this, I'm thinking down the road, at what point do we get to that, now we got to really, really expedite. So just wanted to put that out there.
Councillor Hawk.
I was trying to follow the numbers. You said you've had 3 leave, and you have 4 that's applied that would be a lateral, so you wouldn't have to wait for the training for them. But how many vacancies do you have? Did you say that and I missed it?
Yeah, we currently have 5 vacancies, and we have 1 more resignation that is sitting, that just came in, about 3 days ago? Yes. So that's going to take us up to 7. So to answer your question, it is very unlikely that we will be able to fill all of our vacancies through the selection process, because we've got 6 applicants there remaining. You know, we're gonna wind up with 6 vacancies, and some of those are going to fall off in that process. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to fill 3 or 4 of those. That's our hope. So we'll start this process over. And again, as the sheriff said, you know, you can't really blame a person for looking at their family situation and looking around and trying to improve that. And, you know, what we hope to do is have the people that are looking around and thinking, I can improve my family situation by going to the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. That we need to flip that script, if you will.
Well, it certainly helps, I believe, with all of the positive feedback on Facebook. I mean, the public really likes to see that your department's out there working with the people, working with young folks, just working with the community, so that you are a welcome and recognized person that's there to help. And I really appreciate that, and I've heard a lot of great feedback. So, and who wouldn't want to work for a sheriff's department that was getting a lot of positive response. So
I will
Just
have
wanted
to
to share
say that group of deputies we have there, and let me brag on them a little bit here. They understand the community that they work in. They understand what their responsibilities to that community are, and they're some of the most insightful guys that I've worked with. When you look in terms of what the community expectations are of them and how they take that responsibility and carry it forward every day, they're well managed, but more importantly, they're very self-disciplined in that manner. It doesn't take a whole lot. Their motivations when they come to work today are to do a good job and to do it right and to follow the rules. So, that part of this agency is a very disciplined group of deputies that we have out there that know their community and how to serve it properly.
Are there other questions or comments from council? All right, in that case, could we have a roll call vote on the general fund sheriff budget request?
Counselor Hawk,
yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0626, General Fund Animal Control with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $201,506. In the supplies category, $23,295. In the services category, $397,775, for a total of $622,576.
Second.
Okay. What would you like to share about this one?
For the overtime line, that needs to be reduced to 5,000. We had one animal control officer in the lit fund, and you requested we put them all in this one. So I had brought their overtime line over as well, so it doesn't need to be doubled, just 5,000 instead of the 10.
Okay.
And that's the only reduction in that one. The big expense is the animal shelter interlocal, and that's set by the city of Bloomington. That's nothing that we can control. So that was the only change for them.
Council, I move we reduce line 17101 overtime from $10,000 to $5,000.
Second.
Questions, concerns? When you're ready, then we'll have a roll call vote.
On the amendment, Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Are there other questions or comments?
Could I? So the interlocal agreement is updated and this is the new one?
That's correct.
Well, finally. How many times have we waited until after budget hearings? No.
So we've moved from PS Lit as opposed to moving to PS Lit. Is that what I'm seeing?
Oh, for the equipment and the equipment and the and then the other animal management officer, yeah.
I just want to update. Last year, you requested as a council that when we got ready to budget for 2024, to move anything that pertains to animal management into this fund. So those lines that are highlighted were the reason they're here now. So Because
You're
they
right,
were,
we didn't have a separate location in PS Lit for it, did we? It was just under the sheriff's.
it was just under sheriff, so.
So I'm asking about something that I previously said to do.
Yeah, but it's been a year, so.
Each year, we can tell them to move it to the other.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Alrighty then. Any questions or? Okay. Nothing. All right. In that case, could we have a roll call vote on moving forward with the animal control general fund for the sheriff's budget request?
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
So I believe we're now moving to the public safety lit fund for the sheriff. And I just want to let folks in the room know that after this budget, we'll take a 10-minute recess. So I just didn't want you to get caught by surprise there.
Okay, council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1170-0005, Public Safety Lit Sheriff, with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $1,549,537. In the supplies category, $65,500. In the services category, $13,200. In the capital category, $144,750, for a total of $1,772,987.
Second.
There we go.
Other than the salaries, again, with the 15%, and the contract that they're still negotiating, the training and travel, we requested that to go up by $500. And then the big one is one that I spoke with Molly about, is the $109,750. That's a request for AEDs for all of the squad cars, and I believe the 2 jail vans. She suggested checking to see if this is something that could be paid from a bond.
Which I am still talking to the commissioners about.
Okay. Or, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, I totally support buying AEDs for each car. It's a great investment. But yeah, it does seem, I think there are a lot of other places we ought to look first before we put it in the PS lit budget. I mean, there's cable franchise is a possibility, but then also, getting the commissioners, see if it might be purchasable out of cum cap. It's probably an allowable expense, right? Or a bond, or ARPA. I mean, yeah, we have a bunch of different. So I guess the question is, do we eliminate it now
Yes.
and then work to add it back in one of those capital?
Doesn't mean we're getting rid of it. We're just going to find new homes.
Yeah. No, I totally support the expenditure. We'll find a better place to pay for it. Okay, so council, I move we reduce line 47100, equipment law enforcement, to $20,000.
Second.
Any questions?
Why not just take it off?
Well, they had another $20,000 that was already in there. Just the $109,750 was for AEDs.
That's just the difference. Why not take the whole 129,750 and move it?
Well, what is the other 20,000 for?
That's other equipment for their cars, printers for the IDEX terminals, laptops, things of that sort that we either replace or have to put in new vehicles.
Fire extinguishers.
I mean, yeah, that's not a major capital purchase. So my motion stands.
Okay. Other questions on the motion? Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment for anyone watching. You've seen a lot of money management. It's green. Can you hear me now?
It sort of went on and off.
I think we have a mic die every 3 seconds. So. How about now?
Yep.
All right, I'm back in business. For the public watching, I just want to say something with it. Obviously, we're talking about AEDs for cars, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, 110%. Border to border in this county, when you travel around, the one consistent thing you see are those cars and those deputies, and that is a first line for so many things, plus their own safety. And so, just for anyone watching, I want to be clear, we support this measure, the AEDs for the cars, we support these deputies. We're just trying to figure the best way to manage our money so we can get them to their goal and get us to our goal of providing as much as possible for folks, case in point, those deputies. So this is, all you're watching tonight is a lot of money management as part of our job we were elected to do and to support how the sheriff gets to do what he needs to do.
Well said. Other questions or comments? In that case, could we have a vote on the motion?
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes?
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Other items for discussion or questions on the PS Lit fund? No? Okay. Then could we have a roll call vote on the sheriff's PS Lit fund budget request?
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. And that concludes your portion of the evening. Yes, we have something from the auditor, though. Breaking news from the auditor.
Breaking news.
I won't keep us from break, but just a quick comment that there could be a possibility of moving at least the mental health portion of that new contract into ARPA if there's any interest. So we could potentially look into that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you and appreciate it. And we will go for a 10-minute recess now. All right, we're gonna resume our budget session now. Thank you all for your patience.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0006 General Fund Surveyor with the category requests of, in the personnel category, $288,987. In the supplies category, $550. In the services category, $10,000 for a total of $299,537.
Second.
Welcome, Mr. Enright Randolph.
Hello, I was trying to make sure I have a good mic.
Yes.
This one looks like the better one. Thank you. I want to also thank Michelle for getting me on today's agenda. I'll be departing and immediately heading to Florence, Indiana for a conference. But
Can you pull it over?
move it back?
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
All the mics seem to have a different way of wanting to convey the sound. So I'll just kind of jump in and highlight some of the changes. One of the larger changes, the creation of the new GIS technician position. Also, I'm going to kind of just discuss two smaller changes and then go back to kind of what I think is probably maybe a discussion, or we'll see how that goes. In traveling and training, I increased it by 3,000, and that's just due to kind of inflation. One goal of this was to get training for our GIS division and other folks, which we actually have utilized the fund to send people to conferences to get GIS training. Ultimately, when we first discussed this, it was to go to the user conference, and that is a pretty hefty expense. And we didn't take advantage of this year because we had kind of a new person come on and it was just a lot to balance at that time. But ultimately that increase is to reflect the inflation of the cost of attending these type of conferences. And then also added $500 on the dues because we're adding more members. There's the Indiana Geographic Information Council where we actually pay for all the dues for Monroe County individuals, and I think we have about maybe 8 to 10 members so they're in various departments: planning, stormwater, auditor's office. I think there's a couple more offices I'm forgetting, but essentially that's why you see the increase. And then I'll go to kind of the elected official. I've been seeking for equal pay for other elected officials, and last year we looked at this and it was increased to 90% to the pay of other elected officials. But ultimately I feel like I serve in a capacity where we don't do the same job, but I feel like the responsibilities and the duties are pretty heavy and very important to the county. So this is just my attempts to try to establish that equal pay. We did see a slight increase to the other elected officials last year, why we increased mine. So as we moved forward to equal pay, we also kind of didn't fully get there. So quickly, I'll just say, as county surveyor, as elected county surveyor, I'm an ex officiated member on the Plan Commission. I'm also an ex officiated member on the Drainage Board. I'm also an ex officiated member on the Stormwater Management Board, and I also oversee the Surveyor Review Board. I oversee the Geographic Information System of the county. I oversee the Public Land Surveying System of the county, and I attend state trainings and gather continuing education and stay on top of best practices and standard operations. And some of those core conferences I attend is the Indiana Association of Floodplain and Stormwater Management, the Indiana Geographic Information Council, which I'm currently the president of that association right now, and the Indiana Society of Professional Land Surveyors. And I also attend the the Association of Indiana Counties. That really gives me the fortitude and the understanding that I need to make sure that we're providing the highest level of service to the county in the areas that I work in. And so with that, very minor changes in the general, and I open it up to council for questions and consideration.
Thank you. Are there questions for our surveyor on my left? Yes.
I think we've talked about this in PAC quite a bit, but I am such a huge fan of what's happening with GIS in this county. The new website that you all just released, the historical data that's out there, the racial covenants that are out there, it's really astounding, and I just really want to commend the direction you've taken that, and I just want to say that.
Well, thank you so much, and I guess that's another good point is, we have some very high qualified personnel in the surveyor's office that, we have to work well with, and it's great to have such a great team, but it's also a heavy responsibility as well. So, thank you. I really appreciate that. The GIS coordinator was restructured in 2019. So just in the last 4 years, we've been able to accomplish this, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without council support.
Other questions or comments about the surveyor's budget? Yes.
I guess this is a comment. I mean, first of all, yeah, I would agree with what Mr. Iverson said about the GIS program. It's just been terrific, and I think this is an important new position that we added. I'm all in favor of that one. On the elected official salary, I mean, I'm not necessarily even in disagreement with some of your arguments, but I kind of felt like we had a comprehensive discussion last year of elected official salaries, and I'm really not interested in kind of relitigating those decisions one by one this year. So I can't support that for the reason that we're not having that discussion this year.
I will say that I asked for the pay that was equal, and you supported and approved it, but then you gave the rest of the elected officials a pay raise. So then it created that disparity between the pay again.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with Counselor McKim, though we discussed this pretty in depth, and my recollection is that the table that we used is pretty clear, and I think if we look in the salary ordinance, there's also the opportunity to have this position be paid more with other qualifications that come.
Substantially more.
Yeah.
That's kind of what has hamstrung this office, in a bad way, honestly. I want to make one other point. My pay is split. Only 75% of that comes out of the county general. The other 25 is out of the stormwater fee or budget. I do my absolute best to be a good steward of taxpayers' money. I never come to the council asking for anything outside of exactly what I need. And again, I'm not talking about exactly personally what I do outside of the state conferences. This is what this office does. It's as important to bring in someone qualified at the elected position as it is at the GIS coordinator or the survey technician. And I've been here for 18 years, and I've seen a lot of councils come and go, and I really think that we've belabored this for a long period of time, and the amount of sacrifices we made out of the corner fund to help offset the financial impact on the county general is quite significant. But I'll leave it there. I have no other comments.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions or comments on this budget? All right.
Well, then I guess I'm going to make a motion. Council, I move we set 11000 elected official to 47,599.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Deckard?
I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Surveyor. I appreciate your time with the county, and I appreciate that for every single person that we have serving in this county. We did have last year a pretty fairly substantial discussion about elected official salary, and in the midst of these COLA discussions that we're having for all the county employees that we're tasked with figuring this out, there's been a large request made of us. That has been issued as a priority. It's also been communicated to us from county employees in numerous ways that they are not necessarily thinking about elected official salary. So as we look at this, I would support what we're doing to take this out of the consideration of this budget here, with the intention that as that whole grid of elected official salary is considered, this would be impacted in that way. I feel like if we move forward with this, we are going to be into a complete ring of elected official by elected official discussions. And right now we are in a COLA by COLA discussion, trying to figure that out. It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is what it is. And I appreciate what you're saying and the way that you've said it as well.
Other comments?
I'm just thinking that if every elected official came forward and in their budget asked for a raise, we would, I'm not sure it'd be a very organized way to do it.
Counselor Crossley.
I just have a question. I know last year we handled all of the elected salaries at a different point in budget. Would that be the will of the council if we do that again this year, or I don't know?
I think that we'll talk about elected official salaries at the same time we talk about COLA in the process. This mic it's on. It's weird. Okay, no, it's all good. I'll just talk loud. That's what I think is generally done, and we did it separately because we created a whole ladder and a system, and it was a lot. So that's why we did it separately last year. Other comments or questions? All right, then could we have a roll call vote on the motion?
This is a roll call on the motion to amend the elected official's salary. Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
You have to have your screen on.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying. There it is. It says it's on, but I can't see it.
It's on.
It's on.
Okay.
So your vote is yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Are there further? Yes.
Yeah, so I'd like to know what are your current thoughts on filling the professional surveyor position?
Great question. We actually have two candidates. One's excited about it. The catch there is if I do offer the job, they can't start until January or February. And then another one that's supposed to get back with me within a week or two. Actually have a meeting scheduled, I think, Tuesday of next week, and very excited about that. It's been a challenge, and I definitely am very optimistic just by the discussion. This will be our second interview, and the first one was great. I'll use their words that they feel like this is their pursuit of the last 5 years of their profession, which might complement my office extremely well, because then the survey technician will be working under a PS and start accruing hours. So there's hopes that maybe one day we could train a PS in-house. So very exciting news.
Excellent. Well, I hope you are able to fill that position. And I want to say, I do think you're doing a terrific job in the office. My issue with the salary was not about your salary. It was about not wanting to open that can of worms. Piecemeal.
I understand. I had to sit by for 12 years, not allowed to open that can of worms. But when I took office, I decided to do it.
Understood.
Other questions or comments on the surveyor's budget? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote for the Surveyor General Fund budget request.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 120200000 Surveyors Corner Perpetuation with the category requests of in personnel, $102,384. In supplies, $7,100. In the services category, $81,451 for a total of $190,935.
Second.
All right, great. I was just going to highlight the changes again. With the field assistant, we moved that from 10,000 to 20,000. Actually, it's been really nice kind of having a part-time person in there helping with some of the work operation and demand to offset the fact that we didn't have a PS. But what's even cooler about that is the collaborative measures that we take upon ourselves at the surveyor's office to work with other departments or other offices. And I've talked with Auditor Smith before she left, but the part-time I had now left and is now the full-time parcel editor in the auditor's office. So we've been able to teach them skill sets that they're going to now incorporate into a career path serving the county in the GIS space. So again, it just shows you kind of what it really means to be county surveyor and to, you know, manage an office and to empower folks to seek careers and also then take those skill sets to, you know, serve the county. I'm just super excited and I wanted to share that today. Again, I budgeted $15,000 for part-time. We had $1 in there just to keep the line open. We actually brought the part-time person on the same time our field assistant had left. So they're incorporating some of the day-to-day duties, and we're doing some cross-training. Preserving that institutional knowledge is key. So again, this was to try to help with the work demand at the office while we were hiring a PS. I guess what's really important here is this is a non-reverting fund. So if we don't actually spend this money down, it just reverts back to the Surveyor Corner Fund. I'm currently hiring a field assistant. So if anyone knows someone that needs a part-time role, I'm looking for someone that can serve 28 hours a week. And they will get some very professional experience and acquire some great skills. So there's a plug, or just word of mouth. There we go. Just if you know anyone, please share it. Even if they're still pursuing schooling, we can accommodate their schedule. And I was very excited to kind of see the last person kind of move into a career path. So I think those are some incentives that my office can offer folks if they choose to come and serve as the field assistant. Outside of that, field clothing, it's actually really hard for me to get the technician and the field hand to spend that money down. But when we do, it does deplete pretty quickly at $450. So I moved it to $1,000. And then the geodetic control, I have that at $70,000, and that's all due to the council's goals of not encumbering funds. So currently I have not outstanding, but I have an obligation to pay for a service fee around, I think, $22,000 to $25,000 for this year. And what we did is kind of go into those agreements at the end of the year, and we encumbered that fund and then paid it out when they finished the job in that next year cycle. So the goal is to try to not encumber funds, so I'm just going to increase the request from what I have been doing at $50,000 to $70,000. That most likely will support 2 service agreements. Also in the geodetic control line is a corner documentation program where if a surveyor goes above and beyond the service they're providing for their client, they can fill out these documents, which gives us geodetic control and a tie sheet, and we'll pay them for that. It's something we put together quite some time ago, and the commissioners approved a local policy where we're able to kind of streamline this. Actually, I think that's kind of very interesting to know that the surveyor office actually, works with the commissioners to create policy. So another very important role that the county surveyor provides the county. That's it. That's all I have. I open up to questions.
Other questions on this budget? Counselor McKim?
Well, okay, so I guess now then looking at both of them together. So in county general, you have 15,000 for an office manager part-time. And then in this budget, you have, let's see, another 20,000 for a field assistant surveyor part-time, and then another 15,000 for part-time. Could we eliminate that duplicative part-time and move the office assistant into that, into that line?
Well, this is something that I had to work with council, and this talks about kind of, in my opinion, spending the corner fund inappropriately. The office manager deals with fiduciary matters. The corner fund is a dedicated fund for the perpetuation efforts of the county. And it took quite some time to actually move that office manager outside of the corner fund. And that, again, was, our attempts to relieve the county general as much as possible. So that would not necessarily work. Again, this is kind of a non-reverting fund, so it all goes back into the corner perpetuation efforts. The cost of these services are quite high. We're kind of on our third year of doing it, so we really streamlined the process. And if we don't get a PS hired in 2024, we'll have to continue to do the service agreements, and then that money is going to be spent down quite rapidly. So this is kind of our efforts to make sure we meet our quota of 5% of perpetuating the county in the heightened standards that I set forth in 2016 when I created the professional surveyor position, and we had a PS in-house for 3.5 years. And I'm not going to go back on that. I'm going to continue to provide that level of service and that initiative with perpetuating out the county, but not just in like the old methods, but with like geodetic controls and such. And then we're able to use those to hopefully one day integrate into our parcel fabric, which will only complement the fact that the auditor brought over the field assistant to help manage that. So again, there's a lot of work at play. I mean, I guess to your question, we could reduce the part-time. We put 15,000 in there. I really don't think we can, because accommodating their schedule, they're getting about 8 hours a week. But it's non-reverting, and it just allows us to have the flexibility. And but if you feel you want to find something to kind of trim down, we could easily move that to 5,000. I wouldn't ask for any less than that, because we have someone being paid out that line, and I don't know if that we'll offer them the field assistant position, because I really want someone at 28 hours a week for that role.
Well, it doesn't help us to reduce out of the perpetuation unless we can move something from general into it. So
And
just
the only thing I have is personnel, and about.
I mean, what about the survey tech? Looks like you've got that split 50-50. Is that right?
Correct. You're going to put the fund in a strain. I mean, 50 again. If you move any of that over, they're going to have to focus on that. The survey technician is focusing on a lot of different databases that are built into the job description. We have to be very cautious to just move percentage of salaries over, because then they have to be taken away from the responsibilities that they're doing today, because they have to be focused on the corner perpetuation effort.
I do understand that. We can't use them completely interchangeably.
Any other ideas or thoughts on this one?
Well, yeah, not really.
Okay. All right. If there are no more questions, then we will have a roll call vote, please, on the surveyor's Corner Perpetuation Fund budget request.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of your evening.
You too.
Thanks.
Now we are at item 8 on our agenda with the Public Defender's Office.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 1000-0271, General Fund Public Defender with the category requests of in personnel, $1,628,469. In supplies, $9,000. In services, $138,051, for a total of $1,775,520.
Second.
Welcome. It's good to see you all.
Chairperson, members of the council.
Pull your mic real close to you.
Yeah. Closer?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. My name is Michael Hunt, and I have with me this evening Heather Stuffle, my administrative assistant. I have a 3-member board, and John Richards could not be here tonight, but we have Betsy Green and Joe Lozano, and they're on the board and have agreed to come tonight. And we have the county prosecutor, Erica Oliphant, who's also here to speak. We have 2, whatever you call them, budgets, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to talk generally about them because we're intermixing, and the supplemental budget has only salaries, I think. So what I'd like to do is let them speak about our main request is more money for attorneys, because we can't hire anybody. I've had an opening since May and have had 1 applicant. Why that is, I don't know, and we can talk about that, but I'd like to have these people give brief their comments, and then they could leave if they want while we talk about other details. So I guess we can start with Betsy if you want to say anything. Let me give you a microphone.
Very few people complain that they can't hear me. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hearing us. I'll try to make this short. I don't know how many of y'all know this, but I actually started my career as a deputy prosecutor. I started as a government lawyer, and I loved being a government lawyer. And I loved representing the state, and I watched some really good public defenders represent the people. And we need good lawyers in this position, and we have really good public defenders and good prosecutors in this county, and we're fortunate. But we're not going to keep them, and we're not going to get more good ones unless we raise the salaries. We just have not kept up. I can speak from some personal experience. My daughter graduated from law school and is working for Indiana Legal Services in Indiana, and their salaries are so low they can't fill their positions either. So I really wish, these are professional people who have gone to school for 7 years. Most of them are laboring under terrible student loans. And I would just request that you support the public defender's request, and the prosecutor's request for that matter, to pay professionals a better rate.
Good evening, I'm Joe Lozano. I'm another member of the board. And I just wanted to also give insight on comparing it to other counties. 50% of my caseload is in other counties. I go to Greene, Lawrence County, and Owen County. All that have public defenders' offices. In talking with their chief deputy public defenders, I think after their expected budgets, they're not going to have anyone that makes less than $80,000. And these are starting salaries. I know, for instance, in Greene County, there was an individual who I think we hoped would fill a public defender spot, where I think she could only be offered somewhere in the 50s, where I think she'll be starting in Greene County making 81 and maybe going up to 88 by next year, and it includes benefits. And I did also ask, what are your caseloads like? And their caseloads are somewhat lower than what they are here. For instance, in Greene County, they don't do their appeals. We do our own appeals here. They contract those out. And also in Lawrence County, once they hit what they think are their caps on their caseloads, they tell the courts, we're not taking appointments anymore. You get outside counsel to handle that. I know because I've had Judge Klein and Judge Sleeve in the past give me cases as a private attorney and say, you're going to do your part, you practice here, you're going to take some cases. So I think that the real issue is, and it's not unique to Monroe County, lots of counties are feeling the crunch of not being able to attract attorneys because we have a shortage in Indiana. But what the response of the other counties though are to offer higher salaries. What's been commonly referred to as attorney stealing. In fact, I was in Davies County last week where the prosecutor's office needs to fill a position, and they said, hey, can you talk to a couple of Monroe County deputy prosecutors for us? Okay, and they said, look, we're gonna offer $95,000 per year. They'll go up to 105 for a deputy prosecutor spot. And we understand it's an hour-long drive, but you don't have to be in the office 2 days of the week. You can work from home. So I think this is gonna be a continuing problem that we're going to have. And from my own experience, I started off as a Monroe County prosecutor. I left in 2010. I think when I left, I was making $63,000. That's back in 2010. I don't know if everyone there makes that now at the prosecutor's office. And I would say it helps retaining talent because at the time, I had been recruited by a couple law firms, but I wanted to stay. And part of it was some of those places couldn't match my salary at that time. And I made decisions based on what I wanted to do professionally, not just based on money. And let's face it, if you want to be a career prosecutor, if you want to be a public defender, the money helps, but to retain the people who really want to do that work, because I don't care how much you get paid to be a public defender, it could be thankless work, okay? So I think in any way that we can help them, it's obviously something that we need to try to strive to do. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Erica Oliphant, Monroe County Prosecuting Attorney, and you have the good fortune of getting to hear from me 2 nights in a row. Both the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office face workload, recruiting, and retention issues, particularly among our attorneys. You've kind of heard from Joe and Betsy. From my own experience, I have had candidates offered jobs as attorneys in my office who've turned me down because they couldn't take the pay cut from Hamilton County or Greene County. And in most of those counties, I think Mr. Lozano would back me up on this. The public defender salaries are tied to the prosecutor salaries. They are in parity. Despite the high cost of living, Monroe County does not pay competitively when we're compared to other Indiana counties. And since I began my career as a prosecutor in 2009, the workload has changed significantly for our deputies. Body-worn cameras have become increasingly commonplace among police, which means that even low-level misdemeanors can have hours and hours of camera footage to review, which is an immense amount of time. Not only that, increasingly in felony cases, we have a lot of voluminous digital evidence, social media, computers, cell phones, those kinds of contents that take a lot of time and a lot of, frankly, really technical litigation. In 2020, the average starting salary in the United States for a US law graduate was $75,000. That was in 2020. I couldn't find a 2023 figure, but as you know, inflation is definitely in play this year. Our current pay for our entry-level position is $59,000 and some change, so well below what that average was in 2020. Our current pay for our felony deputies or our more experienced deputies in the public defender's office are around $68,000 and some change. Those are very low salaries for the amount of education that we are expected to have to do these jobs. I was telling Counselor McKim before we got started here, when in 2018, I was a deputy prosecuting attorney. I was at the 8-year salary pay. I had a $900 a month student loan payment. It's hard. It's just not enough money for our people. And so if you want to continue to have quality attorneys doing this work, if you want to make sure that our victims, our defendants, and everybody have their rights represented in court, we need to be sure that we can recruit and retain quality people to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to take over the meeting, but these people are gracious enough to be here. If anybody had any questions of them, I'm going to say they can leave if you don't.
Are there questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much for being
Thank you for
here.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We, as I understand it, submitted a budget and then got to thinking about this, how we could make it easier for everyone. And we had some changes which we submitted, but I don't think they made it onto your sheets. Ms. Stuffle can go through individually and do that. The only thing I want to say about the, well, let me tell you two things that are good, I guess. You know, we're part of this bail project that was started 2 or 3 years ago, and last year, and it provided for one attorney, and that was through Judge Dekoff's purview and Troy Hatfield, who does the figures over there in the probation office, but it provided for an attorney position to go to bail hearings. We were the beneficiary of that. Then last year, for whatever reason, they cut that, and it was cut from almost $100,000, I think, to $15,000 in the attorney position. And so we came to the council and said, we need help, because they didn't tell us till right before the budget hearings, and you people gave us the other part of that money to fill out that position. Luckily, or fortuitously, I guess, they reinstituted that position from the $15,000 to $105,000 for this year. So basically, we can not ask the council for that from the general fund. And we might need a little, but not what we asked for before. So that's good. The other thing, I just got news, we have 2 people called system navigators who work in the children in need of services and termination cases, and really are kind of like paralegals, but they deal with the children and the families, and my attorneys tell me they're great. That's a pilot project, and they're trying to see what they could do, but I just got word that they've continued that for next year. So 2024, that's a grant run through the Public Defender Commission, and we're not asking for any money for that. And he also told me that going further from that into 2025, they might cut back, but it would be a share, whether it's 50-50, the county or the grant or whatever. But we're happy with that. So we have 2 of those positions that are totally funded out of that grant. Having said that, so what we're basically asking for is, and we went through the budget and tried to cut some where we could, just in our general budget. So we're asking, the other thing is with the attorneys, I have no idea how much to ask for, what's going to make our position better than Lawrence County or Greene County. So we just decided to say, what would happen if these people worked 40 hours? And that's where we came up with the figures. So that's not a magic number. It's just an estimate of where it might put the positions up, the salaries up enough to try to hire somebody. As I said, I don't know if I just told Mr. McKim or not, but we've had a position open since May, and I've had 1 applicant, which is not going to work. And I don't know why that is, whether it's just inflation, whether it's COVID, where people want to stay home, whether they have all these amazing student loans and they need to make more money, whether people are just not interested in the whole criminal justice system. To do that, I don't know. But I'm amazed because we have a newspaper that comes out from the Public Defender Commission about once a month, and they used to have maybe one opening. Now there's like 10 in different counties openings for attorneys. I know, as Erica said, in the prosecutor's office, it's the same way. So Erica even set up a meeting. We went to law school and tried to talk to anybody that was interested in either public defense or prosecution. And I would say, I don't know, 30 or 40 people showed up, but we didn't get a bite from that. And she had some other people come down from a public defender's office, I think up north somewhere, and talk also. So I just know it's there. And I'm amazed because every time I had a position before, I would usually have 8 to 10 applicants. And now, like I say, I've had one in 4 months. So that's why we're asking that primarily. In trying to go over that then, the other thing that comes in with the supplemental fund is, the supplemental fund is what we get back from the commission on our 40% reimbursement. That's fairly steady, and that's added to any fees that that the defendants might have to pay if they can pay them. So they might, on a felony, they may have to pay $150. If they can't pay it, then that's excused, but we get some money from that. That brings in roughly $1 million a year from that program. Unfortunately, lately, in the past 3 or 4 years, we've been spending more than that, like $1.2 million or $3 million out of that fund. So that fund is getting depleted. In 2018 or 19, I think we had $600,000 in there. This year, we only have about $200,000, which means I've got to do something because our expenses are outdoing our income. So we've tried to, in our proposal, cut down on that a little and see what we can do about that. I don't know how you want to do it because, as I said, I don't think our latest proposal got written down. If you want to have us come another time, whatever, that's fine, or we can go through and try to tell you what we're asking for now. That's up to you people. However you'd like to do that.
Well, first, thank you very much for the context. And then I think we'll have, I think Councilor McKim has a question for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more just, Ms. Shell did send out an email to the council earlier today that I think outlined the changes that you want to make as part of your budget. And I'm certainly willing to make that motion after having looked at, I was originally skeptical of the moving the chief deputy to the supplemental, but after I looked at the 4B, we absolutely need to do something like that, of that magnitude. So, so I'll move, I'd like to move that, sorry, I just lost all my screens. Which line is the chief deputy? 12000. I move we set line 12000 to 0, 12142 senior trial attorney to $1. No.
So.
Sorry, did I get it wrong?
The chief deputy is already at 0.
Oh, so this has already been.
No, the chief deputy is in the supplemental. The entire amount of the chief deputy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said it the wrong way. Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize. Let's see, was that 000 to 133,626? Right, 133,626. Is that not the right amount? Okay.
But to county general.
Yes.
Right, we're on county general. Okay. Yeah, we're not. 12142 senior trial attorney to $1. 17100 transcripts from 15,000 to 13,000. 2001 office supplies from $5,000 to $4,000. 2003 printing/copy supplies from $4,000 to $3,000. 30026 library from $12,500 to $10,000. And 32710 special services from $90,000 to $80,000.
Second.
Did I get those right? Based on what?
That's what I see.
All right. Are there questions from council on this motion?
Congratulations on the grant.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Let me add one thing. This request on the attorneys includes 14 people. So it does not include myself and the chief deputy because ours are set separately. So we're not involved in that.
Okay.
But this vote is just on those corrections that we made.
Yep. All right. When you're ready, we will have a roll call vote on the changes outlined by Councilor McKim.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson. Oh, sorry. Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right. So that's cleaned up. And now looking more generally at the general fund budget, do we have any questions from council?
I do, but if somebody else would like to talk first.
Councilor Hawk, did you have? Oh, I thought. No.
So are we prepared to move it to a 40-hour work week? I mean, how many hours are they actually working? Do they hit a time clock, and when their 35 hours are up, do they get comp time, or what are we doing with that?
No, they're exempt, under the exempt. And so the attorneys, they're supposed to work 35 hours a week or 70 every 2 weeks. And so they do that, but then if they're in trial or something, it could be 100 hours, and they get no comp time or benefits from that at all.
Right, well, actually, I did know the answer to that, because I know they're exempt. But I just wanted to make sure we understand. What this means is he wants a raise for these folks.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they're going to be working more hours or less hours. They're still going to just work whatever hours it takes to get the job done.
That's right.
Right, and he's been quite upfront about that. That's the goal.
But you know what? There's a lot of public listening too.
Okay, I just want to make
and
sure.
And other departments. And you know, the average employee, if they work more hours, they get the comp time or they get overtime. And this is not the case with your attorneys.
That's correct.
So I'm just, I mean, you may all know that, but folks at home might not know that.
So I'm really struggling with this one. You know, here's my dilemma. Obviously, we want to give everybody an increase, a decent increase this year, and I think we've been talking about that in almost every budget decision we make. You know, there's multiple ways to do it, and certainly moving from 35 to 40 is a way to do it. We could, you know, one solution would be to move them from 30 to 40, but also not give the attorney positions a very large cost of living increase. The problem is that would that would put the county attorneys, it would screw them over, basically, the county attorneys. And to some degree, you know, we've kind of made this problem for ourselves by making the county attorneys 40 hours and the other attorneys not 40 hours. So there's no good way out of this dilemma. I recognize your desire to give the attorneys more money. And I also understand that this doesn't actually affect you either, as your salary is set elsewhere. So I'm interested in what my colleagues have to say. I don't have a good solution.
So would the other positions in your office
It's the same thing.
remain at 35 hours, or are they
No,
at 35?
they're already 40. The
So
other
it's
position.
just your attorneys that are 35 with little quotes around
Yes,
them?
yes.
Interesting. And the positions that are hard to fill, or specifically you have one, I know, but in general, I'm assuming those are at the lower level, the more entry level
Yes. Well,
positions.
it depends who, and if somebody walks in the door and says, I have 10 years experience in Marion County doing felony trials, then we try to hire at the mid-level point or whatever it is. But if they're right out of law school or something, no, they start at the lower position. Right.
I'm just looking, I keep looking at this screen because it's got the display of the budget on it, and I see that, senior trial attorneys are paid quite a bit more than that,
Some of that is experience too. I've been here X
Yeah.
number of years with the county, right? That's
yeah,
just,
so that wouldn't be the starting for this, yeah, okay.
I'd also like to, when we redid the WIS classifications, they put all of the attorneys into their own grid. And so there's 3 levels of attorneys. So there's an A, B, and C, yes. And so what some of this is, the senior trial attorneys are at the B, and the lower paying ones are at, which they just have like deputy public defender, are at the A, that kind of thing. So, and they have job descriptions accordingly, and that's how WIS classified them, so. And also, I can just throw out there, since they do have their own grid, you can actually, just like you did with the jail and the sheriff, the deputies, do a different COLA increase with regards to their grid specifically. That is also an option, which, because it does not affect any other people. You have to be an SO attorney for that particular grid. So that's an option as well.
Yeah, the WIS study did make it clear in their memo about the maintenance plan that it is okay to do different cost of living for different classifications, that we don't have to do it absolutely across the board.
Can you turn your mic on?
Maybe I should already know this. However, since we try to keep the attorney compensation the same in prosecutor's office and public defender, then we would have to look at, then what do we do at the prosecutor's office? Because I would assume they're at 35 hours.
Well, their budget submission has 40 in it though, too. They're making the same case. Their budget submission also has 40 hours.
I'm just
So,
saying,
right.
just because you submit it doesn't mean.
No, but I mean, I think everybody recognizes
Right. So I'm
they come
just
part and
saying we
parcel.
should probably look at what is the total price tag, see what we can do. Just like we do when we're looking at the raises. Or do you want to make a decision now and we don't know what the price tag is?
Actually, I think Councilor Hawk has a really good suggestion there, that maybe we ought to kind of sort of table the issue of attorney compensation and study that specifically. Have somebody look at it and look at the different options specifically, look at what positions are in the different classifications and what various levels of cost of living versus going from 35 hour to 40 would make, what kind of difference that would make. I mean, I think we hear your struggle.
I understand.
Well, if I can add to that, if I'm hearing it right, and in my conversations with the prosecutor as one of her liaisons for her folks, the goal for you is more money for your folks,
Right.
period.
Yes.
The hours, that's a mechanism, but
that's correct.
if this council figures that out in some form, much like we're dealing with that for everything else, particularly around that COLA. So I'm a kind of a mind that we don't have a clear answer here. And until we have a clear answer, and our sentiment, what I'm kind of hearing is we want to figure out how to get you to the end goal, which is more money. And I'd say we'll have this very similar conversation tomorrow night. I think that we have to hold off on that till we know further information that can then affect the COLAs and et cetera, and hopefully more quite soon.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, though, just so I get it, is because the attorneys have their own grid, we could make an adjustment to that grid, and that would be equitable across the public defender, the prosecutor, and the other county attorneys.
Right.
Right.
And
But-
I'm not saying I'm opposed to this. I'm
Right.
just saying, I think as county council member,
Wait.
I like to look at the numbers.
Yeah, we have a couple of different options.
That doesn't surprise you at all.
No, it doesn't.
Go back years.
So council, I move we set, for the purposes of this budget, we set all the attorney positions back to 35 hours with the intention of, before the end of the budget process, of studying all the attorneys together.
Second.
Are there any questions or further comment on that motion?
And again, can I offer a comment here?
Yes.
For anyone watching this evening, taxpayers or folks that work for this county, I want to be very clear. Our goal is to get to a reasonable goalpost that we can figure out. We know that that's important to you. We, again, have to do our diligence to figure out the mechanism by which we can do that successfully for this county. So we want you to know that. That's what this means.
Okay, when you're ready, we can have a roll call vote.
This is a roll call vote on the amendment to move the attorneys back to 35-hour salaries until later. Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous. And I will try and get some numbers to you. I may not get them tomorrow, but hopefully by Thursday.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it'd be great to have them over the weekend
Okay.
to look over, yeah.
Because that's what we do all weekend, every weekend. We
This time of year.
We pour over spreadsheets of data.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I would say this, you're right. Tomorrow, I know Ms. Oliphant is going to ask the same thing, so then those could be included in the compensation.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
That's what,
Yeah.
that's what I think we're
Okay.
aiming for, is to think about it all at once. Are there questions or comments on the rest of the budget?
I do appreciate you reducing what you could, just to, I know, in
Well,
support of
we
the
just,
effort.
and some of that, we had an increase in special services, which goes to experts and things. This year, we asked for more money. We cut back on that some, but we keep getting these murder or attempted murder cases, which require extra money. So we didn't cut that a lot, but we cut it what we thought we could justify. So. The other thing I guess I would ask you to consider is whether we move the chief deputy from the supplemental to the general, which we've asked. So.
Oh, we did that.
Oh, they said yes.
Yep, we already
Okay.
did that.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, after I looked at your 4B, I completely agree. You did.
All right. Other questions on this budget? Seeing none, then could we have a roll call vote on the Public Defender's General Fund budget request?
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 12000000, Public Defender Supplemental, with a category request of, in the personnel category, $1,335,311, for a total of the same.
Second.
All right.
I don't know that I have anything more to say about this, other than I think there was some suggestions to us from the payroll administrator and the council administrator that we do away with the splits. We had budgets or salaries split, and so it makes it a lot easier for people that deal with the budgets on both sides to do that. So that's what we tried to do, is do away with the splits and put some people in the supplemental and some people in the general.
Council, I move we set line 12000 Chief Deputy to 0.
Second.
Any questions, conversation about that motion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk, Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Okay, any other things on this budget that we want to discuss? Oh, right, we have all those positions. Yep.
Oh, yeah, council, I move we set all the attorneys to back to 35 hours.
Second.
Thank you.
Forgot that. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
I would say that, of course, then is going to change the FICA and the PERF and some of those, but that's.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yes. Good times.
Yeah, we figured it's better not to just do individual motions for those things. They're just calculated anyway.
I understand.
Any further discussion for the supplemental fund? Okay. In that case, could I have a roll call vote on moving forward with the Public Defender's Supplemental Fund budget request?
Counselor Hawk. Did you say yes? Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Sorry. Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right.
Heather.
That concludes it.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Heather.
I could do like I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I could do like the gentleman before me, and if anybody knows anybody that wants to be a public defender, send them to me.
Should just run our ads for positions.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have something else?
Yeah, I was just going to tell Heather, I'll work on all those amendments and everything, and then I'll have you proof them before
you.
I finalize it. Okay? All right.
This brings us to item number 9 on the agenda with our recorder's office.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 100004, General Fund Recorder, with a category request of, in personnel, $383,732, for a total of the same.
Second.
Welcome, Ms. Swain. It's good to see you.
Hello, everyone. Good
Hello.
to see you for my first budget meeting
know.
review with the council.
Pretty exciting.
Okay, so as the amounts for our office for this fund are determined by you because all of it is payroll. I budgeted flat as directed with one exception, and that's for one employee who has made the 3-year completion bump, and that affects Pike and Perf. So other than that, there are no changes. It pays for the elected official, the chief deputy, and 3 of the 6 deputy recorders. Any
Okay.
questions?
That's pretty straightforward. Are there any questions? Yes, Councilor McKim.
Yes, can any part of any of those positions be moved to the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund?
The perpetuation fund right now pays for 3 of the 6 deputies. 1 of those is full-time. 2 of those are part-time. The other things that are paid for out of perpetuation, which usually come out of county general for other departments, are office supplies, printing and copy supplies, postal supplies, archival space supplies, which serves all county departments, not just the recorder's office, equipment, dues, and most of our contractual expenses. So it is a consideration, but I would like to hold off since this is just a review and not the final vote. Revenues have been down a little bit this year because of the crazy increases in mortgage rates, which have been caused by the Federal Reserve. Another thing that is also down is refinancing is almost at a standstill because of those high rates. The Federal Reserve has increased interest rates because they want to curb inflation, which was more than 9% last July. It was down to 3.2% this July, but they really want it down to 2%. They have their next 2-day meeting next week on September 19th. And so we might know a little bit more whether there is going to be any relief from that and whether or not revenues will go up. So since that's happening before the final budget review and vote, I'd like to hold off on that consideration.
Are there other questions on the recorder's budget?
Could you share with us what that balance is in the perpetuation fund?
In the perpetuation fund?
Balance in perpetuation, yes.
Okay.
I was thinking it was really healthy when I looked at it, but
I have the 4B in front of me.
It's close to 1.5 million.
I mean, what do you think?
It's like 1.499484, but it's basically 1.5 million.
They're still showing a surplus even
Right.
with what they've got now.
We ought to try to, and
So-
then if it doesn't work out, we can always move them back.
So it's about 1.5 million? Is that?
That's accurate. It's $1,522,620 and 47 cents.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
My figures were from 9/7, so she's got today's figures.
You can count on her for that. And the proposed budget for that fund,
They don't really have they don't have to have a proposed budget the same way.
No.
It's at the discretion of the recorder.
The other question I would have is, what's the balance in the elected official training fund?
1217.
Do you know what that balance is?
Cash balance as of 9/7, again, my figures are from last week, is 88,000.
Okay, yeah, that's also on the 4B for the June 30th.
Yeah, and it's actually, the mid-year figure is actually $3,000 or $4,000 less than it was the year before, so we are digging into that reserve a bit each year. So just wanted to point that out.
Current balance is $89,390.
Thank you.
I mean,
And as a reminder, I know we're sort of talking about the different funds at the same time, but as a reminder, at the state, we were successful in getting getting training for county council people.
That's right.
So we could go into our county council budget and reduce for our expenses and get it out of this other fund.
Right.
I was trying to remember that, yeah.
I was going to say, and Marty's correct, but I will point out that there are 5 offices that are covered by this fund as well for newly elected officials. They, like this year, I had to have at least 15 credits from the state as a newly elected recorder, and I have to have 40 more over 3 years. And so that's why these were specifically set out by Indiana Code, was because we do have term limits. And so it covers the auditor, the recorder, the surveyor, the clerk, and the treasurer.
Also, part of the legislation said that the dollars from there, if it was building up too much, could be then switched over into the perpetuation fund. I believe. Just a little update.
Yeah. So after that, are you thinking that you might want to move it?
well, I mean, I'm yeah, it seems to me that the balance in the perpetuation fund is more than healthy.
Yes.
So I'm definitely concerned. What is this piece of information that you're waiting on to decide?
What's going to happen with interest rates that will directly affect revenues for 2024. I did budget for modest growth, anticipating continued uncertainty through fourth quarter this year and first quarter 2024. If the Fed is content with leaving mortgage rates where they are, the market will steady and revenues will go up for the recorder's office. That funds not only our department, but other departments as well in various budget lines.
I think we could use part of that, and if we ran into a problem,
Yeah.
we could always move it back.
That's true. Well, we can't
But
force.
we can't force you to
Right.
do it.
We can
just
reduce the
kind
general.
of shame you into doing it. I don't know.
I'm not opposed to the suggestion. I just would like to hold off until that event. And also, there are a couple of questions that I have about the budget in general that I'm going to address with the auditor tomorrow. So,
Why don't we continue this budget then?
Yeah. I mean, clearly, the interest rate affects the entire county
Well,
government.
and in different ways, because
Everybody in different
yeah.
ways.
I mean, wanting to talk about with the auditor about it is not an unreasonable. I did bring this up to her after 4 o'clock today, so it's not an unreasonable thing to talk. So I move we continue this budget.
Okay.
Second.
Do you have a date
Till
in
a certain-
mind that
Are
you
you
want
wanting to
to?
continue it until
I
Thursday?
Do not have a date in mind.
Do you want to, are you thinking at the end?
Yes.
Do you, I was just gonna say we could continue it to the work session.
Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Are you,
the which session?
the work session, which is September
26th.
I will be at the Association of Indiana Counties Annual Conference that week.
Lucky you.
The next available would be October 3rd, which is the public hearing.
Yeah, that's,
Who's going to be gone for the annual conference?
It's the Association of Indiana Counties. So it's a state-called conference. We have to be there. And that will also come out of the 1217 elected officials training budget. So there are additional expenditures this year for that.
Actually, we should be there. The one in French Lick.
Yes.
Yeah. well,
No, we have a work session.
We should all be there.
We have our work session in French
Well,
Lick there.
why are we doing work session when we're supposed to be at conference?
I don't know, but I'm
Because we have other jobs.
I'm just
and-
continuing, yeah, I'm just moving to continue this
At a later date.
until later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time non-specific.
Okay.
And I appreciate the recorder keeping an open mind about that, looking at our options and considering what the Fed's doing. That's awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah, a lot to think about.
Was there a second? I apologize.
Yes.
I think I
Thank
did.
you.
So are there questions or comments on the motion to continue? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk, Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson.
Sorry, yes.
I'm sorry, I need your, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 11600000, Identification Security Protection, with a category request of $18,000 in the services category and a total of the same.
Second.
Oh, did I get that?
I don't think so. That was strange.
That happened yesterday too.
It's that one channel you don't want.
Okay.
This particular budget, here we go, contractual. Can you tell us about this?
It's the one contractual expense that isn't paid out of perpetuation is this one. And it's for the redaction of social security numbers and other confidential information in documents. It's paid for out of 1160. We bring in the revenue for this per Indiana Code 36.2 7.56, and we are required by Indiana Code 36.2 7.58 to search for and redact any social security numbers found in a document. So we fund it and we expend it to fulfill Indiana Code requirements.
All right. Are there questions? In that case, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz.
Yes?
Motion passed unanimous.
Excellent.
Council, I move to open for discussion and review Fund 12170000, County Elected Officials Training, with a category request of, in the services category, $20,000 and a total of the same.
Second.
Okay, we've talked a little bit about this fund already. I only did a modest increase of $2,000. Gas prices are going up. Again, there are state board called conferences that we have to attend. And so that's, cost of living increase for the expenses, I guess you could say.
Okay, are there questions about this fund? All right. Seeing none, could I have a roll call vote?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, and thank you.
I just have a closing comment. I really wanted to thank Kim Shell for her assistance in helping me navigate the budgeting process for the first time. I was in her office and we emailed and we talked, And the numbers are my own, but I would not have been able to arrive at them without her help. So thank you very much. And thank you, council.
Good to hear.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Nice job on the first time around.
Congratulations.
So that concludes our budget review for today. And we are going to recess until tomorrow, Wednesday, September 13th at 5 p.m. here in the Nat U Hill room. Good night.